Hello, listeners of the future, and welcome back to The Roll Report. This is Classing Up the Joint, the part of the show where we interview amazing people about amazing things. Frequently their favorite character class, but that's amazing anyway. My name is Colin. I use he and they pronouns. I am the GM and, person behind The Roll Report in a large part, and I have my wonderful guest who I'm going to let introduce themselves.
Hi, I am Blair Boges. I use she, they pronouns, and I am a content creator in the D&D space, and I'm just a big nerd, and I'm so excited to sit here and talk about Dungeons and Dragons for as long as Colin will let me.
I mean, as long as I have, really. I could. It could be all day.
Say less.
I mean, man, if the dream is to just do nothing but get to talk about and play D&D all day.
Oh yeah.
Someday, perhaps. Blair, thank you for joining me. I think I'm developing the starting question of how did you get into tabletop RPGs and D&D specifically, or was that the entry drug? Where does it all start for you?
I have kind of a long story about my entry to D&D.
Okay, love it.
So when I was in middle and high school, I was such a little nerd and I loved everything in the nerd space. But I went to a school and I was in an environment where it was very you shouldn't be into nerd stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just pretend to not be into nerd stuff.
Uh-huh.
But obviously teachers notice things that you're into though. And so I was also a theater kid. And so for the senior show, usually it gets picked for someone who's really into the theater program. And my director chose She Kills Monsters, which is a play about Dungeons and Dragons. And so that was my first entry into D&D. And then I started looking more into it. And then in college, I started playing Monster Hearts and Monster of the Week. And then I found the group that I have been with for many years now. And we're all playing 5e together still. We're on a little bit of a hiatus right now while I've been moving and everything. But yeah, I've been with the same group for a really long time. And that's the spark notes of how I got into D&D.
I mean, how long? Well, not how long have you been with the group? How long has your longest campaign with this group been?
Ooh, the longest campaign, I think, God, it must have been 2.5, 3 years, maybe something like that. I think.
Okay.
It was it started as a one-off campaign to see if it worked, and then we just kept playing in the world because we loved the characters so much. So I think it might have been 3 years or something.
Was it a full sort of low level to 20 or somewhere along the high level tree?
We ended, I believe, around level 10 or 15.
Okay.
And since then we have started playing in new worlds. We started doing other campaigns. We started trying other things. We're very much so in a space now of trying to find out where our next big thing is. And that's how I got into DMing. I'm currently DMing the main thing that we're doing.
Cool. I love it. Did you DM much of the one shots or the other RPG systems, or this has been?
No, I really only have very minimal DM experience. I ran one shot forever ago, and it was meant to be a joke little Halloween one shot that was called Escape from Margaritaville.
Oh, I love that.
And it was Jimmy Buffett was a vampire.
That's hard to escape from, for real.
I know, wasting away again. But it was Jimmy Buffett was a vampire and he's luring all these people there, and it was this whole thing. And I knew nothing about CR at that point in my DMing career. And so I put these 3 level 5 players up against a master vampire, not realizing anything. And that was a very humbling experience for myself, and going, okay, I really need to look into CR and how to balance things and everything. And then I DM'd another one shot that was just kind of a little experimental thing. That was really not a huge thing. And now we're in this main campaign that I think I'm doing an okay job with. They all say that they have fun at the end of every session, which is all I can ask for.
I mean, same. I the Roll Report is the first time I've tried to create an entire homebrew campaign from scratch, pulling from all the things that I've been doing over the last couple of years. And, I am a big believer in stealing the there's a thing in Sandman, I think, where they talk about there's only 8 stories in the world, right? There's always someone wants something and someone's in the way of it. But trying to take all of the tropes and the things that we know from sci-fi and fantasy and fiction that we love and be how do I put that on my players. What can make it more fun? Yeah. I think on to the first big question. Blair, what is your favorite character class or classes in D&D?
My two favorite classes, they're kind of tied, but literally everyone who knows me will tell you it's one of them. But
okay.
The basic answer that everyone is going to give for me, and I still love, they are still my favorite class up there with this other one. I love warlocks. I love warlocks so much.
Okay.
And the other one is sorcerers.
Bold claims.
Yeah, okay. Very bold.
Yeah, fucking love that. I think, am I right? Yes, I've been trying to track this now with a spreadsheet. At some point, I'll be able to maybe turn into a nice graphic. You are the first person that is named Warlock.
Yes.
Yes. The last interview did have Sorcerer as their unequivocal favorite.
They're so good. They're so fun.
They're so cool. Well, okay. Let's start with Warlock. There was a time when I was like going through the entire like skill tree and doing the thing, and instead I think I'm going to say the things that I think are really cool and that I'm going to highlight are solid D8 of hit point, patron and pact magic, which are super fun, and what I think are like the big cool things that set it apart are the Mystic Arcanum and this ability to just have whatever spell you want, essentially, from other people's spell list. I will say, although we're not really getting into subclasses, I have some issues with at least one of the subclasses. But
yeah, they're a little not equally gifted.
Or I guess not even subclass, or like not patron, but the pact feature. Yeah, like
they're very much so not all created equal.
I think I have yet to hear anyone go, yeah, Pact of the Talisman is dope.
No.
But to the main class, what draws you to Warlock? Why is that highest on the list?
I am a huge story person. I love the story of things. And I think with Warlocks, you are immediately given a link to the world. You are immediately attached to the world with your patron. Your patron already exists there. And like, it's just so easy to immediately get immersed and like talk with your DM and be like, oh, like I'm working with the Great Old One. I'm working with the Fiend. And like, this is this, that, and the other. And you immediately have a connection. And I just think that there is so much like rich storytelling that you can do with like the story of a warlock, how they got there, how they met their patron, like why they're working with their patron, why they chose that versus like studying to be a wizard. I just think that there's so much interesting stuff there. I also just like playing high charisma. I love being able to just talk my way out of any situation. And so if we're just like looking at like, okay, well, like I like playing high charisma. So like, what's a class that needs that? Warlocks. Like, I love the story of them. It's so much less about like the mechanics of them. And like, yeah, it's really great that on short rest you get your spell slots back. But like, yeah, like, that's great. Eldritch Blast is great. Yeah. They're definitely not like, but like my priority isn't like hitting the hardest. My priority isn't doing the most numbers. My priority is having the coolest, most damaged little guy at the table. And I think with Warlocks, I get that.
When like almost no matter what the patron you're choosing is, like you could have a celestial patron who, you know, in theory is just like, but the ultimate force of lawful good can still really fuck with a player's head and the character in their requests. And I really appreciate what you're saying about a immediate link to the world, because it like as I've been building this one for the roll report, I'm like, when do I dole out information about the deities and the underlying, you know, the like, I don't know, universal structure, like sort of like, and you have this warlock, and immediately that lets you bring in, you know, the deity level NPC to whisper in their dreams and give them weird prophetic nonsense and all this, and like, and tie in that aspect of your campaign.
Yeah. It's just, it's nice to like automatically like feel like you belong in the world. Whereas like, especially if you're doing like a fully homebrewed world and like you haven't really talked a ton with the players about it, like a regular fighter might find it hard to like immediately find that link versus like, you know, a warlock who's like, oh, like I already know this guy. He's not around, but like he's there.
I talk to him sometimes. You know, sometimes he tries to get me to do vaguely horrible things or vaguely beneficial things. Yeah. Have you had a favorite warlock character?
Ooh, yeah. My favorite warlock that I've ever played was this bratty little girl named Persephone. She was a little tiefling with an attitude for fucking days. And it was like a running joke between like me and my friends in the campaign that were like, she just needs to get like a part-time job and like she'll be fine. But she was like this little like privileged, little annoying, like snarky, I know everything, like little 18-year-old, just like, I know everything. You can't tell me what to do. Blah, 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 blah. And like she was like she was a patron of the Fiend. And then later she like went through this whole thing. She became blind and then she became a patron of or a follower of the Raven Queen. And we got to go through that whole arc, which was like very, very, very fun.
Yeah.
And like she was just so fun to play. And I just think warlocks are so fun, especially like I think they get an interesting combination of spells and like they're just so fun. I just think they're fun is like the crux of what I'm trying to say.
And like again, like with story and world building, if you have a warlock that will then switch patrons, as you mentioned, like that, like a really nice meaty hunk of character development and plot for your specific player to dig into, me as the DM going my player, and for the party when you're like, this is serious. There's like there's deities at play here. My in theory my friend now is like having trouble and needs to accomplish this goal. Did you how complicated was that for your character?
Ooh, it was incredibly complicated. So the DM at the time decided to make the Fiend patron the big bad of the whole campaign, basically. And so obviously that brings up a lot of moral questions for my character. And so she became very close with, I believe he was a monk. My friend's going to listen to this and kill me, but she, for not remembering what class he was. But she became very close with one of the other characters. And like, he was like very hurt by her patron. And so she basically was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm breaking the pact. And so in response, her patron blinded her. And so then, like, and so he was like, okay, well, like, I'll take away your powers and I'll take away this from you. And then she found herself close to death, obviously, which is how she found the Raven Queen. And the Raven Queen was like, you deserve a second chance at being a better person, like following a better path in life. And then that was like the whole thing. And then she got true sight, which is how she saw. It was very like kind of like Toph and Avatar style, which was how we were kind of like playing it. But yeah, it was a very like rough arc for her to go through of like having all those questions and being like, this is the only thing that I've known, but like this clearly isn't right if it's hurting the people that I care about. And so she was just like, you know what, I care about these people more than I care about like what this horrible force is doing.
I'm also hearing like a lot of like very RP heavy campaign, at least in that. Is that, I guess as a player or a DM or both, is like, do you have a preference for your campaigns to lean that direction over, you know, dungeon crawl combat all the time and like, or finding a nice mix?
I like a good mix of them. We also play only over Discord, except for like special occasions where we'll meet up in person and like we'll all play together. But like, you know, with scheduling, it's just easier to do something over Discord. And like we don't use a lot of like battle maps or anything. And so it's mostly just like, it's a lot of RP and then like the combat. This is why we have like a running joke that like as soon as we do combat, the session's going to take 2 hours longer. Because like when you don't have everything in front of you and then each turn you have to be like, okay, how far away is that from me? How far away is that from me? And like, yeah, the combat's still very fun. We still have a very good time. But it's just easier in that circumstance, like lean more towards RP heavy play, which thankfully we all love. Like we all adore RP heavy play. Like we're a bunch of like actors and writers and theater kids at heart. So
do you have a favorite patron of a warlock?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Again, going along with the theme of I love a good tortured person. I love playing with the Fiend. It's so fun. It's just so fun. And you get so much cool stuff under the Fiend. It's great. I love it.
It's a lot of fun. I have a friend who got to I don't remember if the PC was like full warlock or multiclassed, but their favorite thing at a certain level was using Hurl Through Hell and just going, I hit them and now portal opens and I drop them into hell.
Yep.
It's
just so fun. And you get like Fireball for free. It's so good.
Well, as I'm looking at it right now, I also love that once you in the expanded spell list, you get Flame Strike and Hallow.
Yep.
At the same time, like despite having this fiendish patron, you get a spell that, well, I guess technically it says you infuse an area with holy or unholy power. But it's still you forbid an area from celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. So you're banishing your own patron essentially from this area that you're casting a spell around, and like being able to lean into that and the sort of the I don't know, wild difference between having that patron and going, no, you can't come into this building that I'm casting a spell on.
And like Dark One's own luck is so great, like just getting a free D10 to a roll per rest, and like the Dark One's blessing with like the temporary hit points is so good. There's just a lot of really good, like yes, they're great for story, but there's a lot of really good, like, for as weak as Warlocks are technically, there's a lot of really good technical buffs from the Fiend.
Yeah. I think there's some of the classic spells on the list of both Mage Armor as one of your
you just get
whatchamacallits that you I'm forgetting what the thing is. What is it? It's a
Armor of Shadows
Armor of Shadows, Eldritch Invocation.
That's Invocation,
yeah, which again, this massive list of things to do all kinds of cool stuff with it, to boost your Eldritch Blast if you want a little more damage or a little more range, or make it shove people away. Yeah, it's Armor of Shadows is the thing I was thinking of, like having that, or I feel like Armor of Agathis is the other classic Warlock spell. Like, well, you can come hit me, but then you're immediately going to take all this cold damage from my magical icy armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Toll the Dead's also so great. I love Toll the Dead.
Yeah. I also I feel like there's I don't know, the combo of getting Devil's Sight, so magical and non-magical darkness doesn't bother you, and then being able to cast darkness as a protection for yourself, because you can move around undercover, fire out of it, and no one else can see you either up close or far away. Yeah. And smites if you go Pact of the Blade, all the things. Wow. I don't look at
they're like
enough.
The rogues of
cool.
The casters. They're very fun.
Yeah. Well, and I like that. I love that analogy. Like I've talked to several other people about the charismatic rogue archetype. The charlatan, the huckster, the snake oil salesman, if you will, or just like the I have the public face, and you never know what is behind the public face because I can lie my way out of anything.
Yeah.
Well. And so let's use that to talk about sorcerers a little more. Again, that super fast rundown. They're at a D6 of hit points down there with wizards in like very soft and squishy. And also like the biggest things are either your meta magic or your specific sorcerer's origin, right? I guess that is basically the specific subclass, if you will. Yeah. I think I want to ask first if you have favorite meta magics.
Ooh, yeah. I haven't played Sorcerer in so long, so I'm probably going to get the names of them wrong.
Okay.
But
I'm looking. I'll see if I can get it.
I love the one that ups the casting time. I believe it's Quickened Spell. I love Twinned Spell, where you can like cast it twice or choose another target. There's one that's like you can cast it without a full component. I think it's Silenced Spell. But like if you need a verbal
subtle
component, subtle spell. Yeah,
subtle. No somatic or verbal components. Yeah. You just like think the spell and it goes off. Yeah.
Which is like really good for like tight, very niche situations. But like in those situations, they're so good.
Yeah. They're so much fun. And I think their spell list is like really strong. It's got a lot of very interesting, fun, weird things, especially if you, end up using the additional spells from Tasha's Cauldron and things like.
Oh, yeah.
There's really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And magical guidance. You can reroll a d20 by spending sorcery points, and versatility. Oh, I feel like this has become a thing for more classes, but technically, sorceress versatility. Whenever you reach an ability score improvement level, you can replace a meta magic with a different meta magic, or replace a cantrip.
Yeah.
I feel like that is.
Yeah, they've got.
I feel like that has become
they're pretty
more
versatile. Yeah.
Yeah. What draws you most to? Is it? I could see a similar sort of storytelling thing that as a potential draw. But what is it that you love about sorcerers?
Again, similar with the storytelling thing, but I like you just said, I feel like that they're, compared to warlocks, they are much more versatile than warlocks are. And I feel like even though you have the one story thing that you're doing, but you can have them have so much more utility. I think they're very utilitarian. Like they're like the Swiss Army knife kind of magic casters a little bit. Like they have a little bit of everything, and they can kind of do everything. They can support you. They can do damage. Like they can buff you. Like they can do a ton of things. And I think it's so awesome.
Yeah. I think those, depending on which origin you have for your sorcery and how you want to use the meta magic in your spell list, you can craft a full support caster. You can craft a full, extremely empowered one. Yeah. I've referenced this one before. I played with a wild magic sorcerer that, by agreement with the DM, surged every single time the character did anything.
We have someone who's playing an aberrant mind sorcerer right now. And there was a moment where they were, in the last fight that they did, they were like, okay, I feel like casting Fireball is going to be the thing that I should do. Is everyone okay with me doing this? And everyone was like, yeah, fuck it, just kill the thing. And so there was this huge thing of just them casting Fireball and then everyone else having to make the save. And then it's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just go to our cleric after. It's fine.
I love that. Oh, I mean, you can sometimes shield your party, and sometimes you just gotta go for it and throw a fireball. Yeah. Throw a really, really, really big fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you? I guess it, maybe even if it has been a while, did you have a sorceress character that still holds a very big piece of your heart?
Yeah, I played they started as a monk, a shadow monk, and then I thought it would be really cool if they also took on a few levels of shadow sorcerer. So they could be the ultimate kind of building a rogue without building a rogue, sneak attack weapon kind of. But still having the access to magic and still having the flurry of blows and everything. And so they have a really nice special place in my heart. They were also my first non-binary character that I've ever played.
Cool.
And just for personal reasons, I think that's really nice and I love them a lot.
Yeah. So I guess on back on the sorcerer front, do you have a favorite sorceress origin?
Ooh, I mean, I loved playing a shadow sorcerer. It was super fun, and I think that their abilities are super cool. There's something about the chaos in me that loves wild magic, though. I love wild magic sorcerers. I think that they're so fun to play with. I love the wild magic table. I love it all.
They're a lot of fun. Do you? Same question I asked Ash the last time. Do you like using kind of the standard wild magic table that is either DM guide or player's handbook, or have you found or built your own table of more interesting, fun, cool, whatever effects?
I think using it as the base is an amazing place to start. And I haven't fully made my own. There have been times where we've had to roll wild magic and I've just been I think that this would actually be a more fun effect, so we're adding it to the table. And this is suddenly the number that I rolled.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the base table is super, super useful for just starting and figuring it out. But I love adding anything homebrew to anything. I don't know. I'm smarter than the developers. I want to make the more fun thing.
I think it's smarter and just more interesting. My sense is that table and a lot of stuff that we read especially official content from Wizards or from D&D Beyond, has gone through 7 pairs of hands when you talk about everyone that's written for it and however many editors before finally getting there, versus, you know, my own like looking at it right now, it's like, okay, you glow with bright light in a 30-foot radius. Like there's got to be something that's way more interesting than glowing.
I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate recently, and I played a wild magic sorcerer for a little bit, and like it's fun, like to have those random things. But then also I was just in a boss fight and I got my whole team turned into sheep for 3 rounds. And it's just like, that's the thing I love about wild magic sorcerers. Like yes, the benign things are like nice, and it's like your reward for not getting the worst roll. But also you're playing a wild magic sorcerer for a reason. You must like the chaos of it.
Hi friends. Interrupting your Sendcast for just a quick moment to say thank you. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate all of you being here with us. It is super fun for us, and it means a lot. Also, if you're anywhere near the Bay Area, or likely to, check out our live show on December 13th, Dungeons & Flagons, a not holiday semi-spectacular. You can find the event on Facebook. We're also on Bloom. And you can just go directly to dungeons-flagons2.secretparty.io for tickets. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a great time. Definitely not holiday at all. But while you're at it and looking around the internet, why not give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok? We are at The Roll Report Cast on both of them, and you'll get all kinds of extra special things, looks at the artwork that our amazing artist is creating for the characters, special clips of interviews with guests on Classing Up the Joints, and more. And hey, if you really love what we do, we would absolutely love it if you would visit us on patreon.com/The Roll Report. Throw us whatever you can spare. It helps us feed ourselves, make coffee when we're playing games, all that sort of stuff. And at the very low level of $10 a month, you get unedited interviews, you get no more ads, you get all sorts of cool stuff. If you want to give us more money, that's cool too. We have special perks for you as well. But really, thank you for listening. If you feel like it, leave us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple or Google. Write us a review. It helps people find the show, and we get all the warm fuzzies feeling them. All right, I think that's enough from me. Back to the show. Okay, so I guess we touched on these a little bit in both Warlock and Sorcerer, since their subclasses are essentially the things that make them so cool. But like, do you have favorite subclasses, I guess, outside of Sorcerer and Warlock, or just this is my all-time favorite subclass?
Yeah, I have a lot. I love so many different classes. Like, you told me, you're like, oh, I'm gonna ask you what your favorite class is, and I was like, I need to think about this. Oh no. Like, I just sat there and
Fair
I was
enough.
Like, oh God. But
top however many.
Yeah. With bards, I love the College of Spirits. I think it's so fun and unique, and it's such like a cool take on bards. Like, just being able to use like a Ouija board or tarot cards to like have as like your instrument is so cool. I love the Curse of the Lycan Blood Hunters. I think are super fun. I played one of them for a while, and she was so dumb, bless her heart, but so fun to play. I love Shadow Monks. I also think Mercy Monks are very interesting. Like, I would love to play a Mercy Monk at some point and just like try to like navigate that. I think Battle Master Fighters have a special place in my heart because they were the first class that I ever played. And I think that they're like super useful and cool. And yeah, I think off the top of my head, those are my favorites. There's probably more, like someone's gonna like tell me like, oh, what about these guys? And I'm gonna be like, no, you're right. But
I mean, I love that. That covers a whole lot of, well, it covers a lot of very different classes.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, one of the things that like the commonality that I'm seeing is some of the storytelling and the character building that we've mentioned before with how much you can get into the world with warlocks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I have it looks very varied on a piece of paper, but when you think about it, it's really not varied.
No, yeah, I mean, I like, to me, that's the thing that sticks out, is like all of these have room for like tons of flavor and tons of interesting, world background and character background, if the player wants to delve into that a little bit more. And then, I mean, Battle Masters are just like the most useful of fighters of all time, and so much fun.
So great. Superiority dice are so good.
Yeah. And I feel like there's more of them all the time. Like every new book, there's like a couple new Battle Master maneuvers.
Yeah.
And
they get a lot of love from Wizards, which I love for me. But
I mean, as someone who loves Wizards, I love anything that makes Wizards cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there, I guess, so you said you haven't played a Mercy Monk, but the others have you played in various times, either one shot or campaign?
Yeah, I played all of those at some point, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than a Mercy Monk. I just think that their class is super, super interesting.
Yeah. And it's a way to turn essentially a martial class into something of a healer. Yeah. And I want to look up that a little bit more because it's been a while. So, okay. So all the monk things, super fun. You get an herbalism kit immediately when you choose the subclass. And then you have your really fun Hand of Healing versus Hand of Harm. Okay. So anytime you Flurry of Blows, you can heal someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's an action, you spend a key point to touch a creature to restore a number of hit points. Or when you Flurry of Blows, you just heal someone.
Yeah.
Or when you punch someone, you can spend a key point to deal necrotic damage of martial arts die plus wisdom. Ooh, yeah.
Like, they're so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a fun take on the monk, which like can sometimes just be like, oh yeah, you just hit things better. But it's such like a unique way to build them, I think.
Yeah. And the high level stuff focuses on healing in a lot of ways. At 6th level, Physician's Touch, if you use your Hand of Healing ability, you can also end a disease or a condition. When you use the Hand of Harm, you can make them poisoned until the end of your next turn. Man, I'm just imagining like stun locking someone and leaving them poisoned.
Yeah.
In that, oh, wow.
Like there's so much cool stuff to do with them.
Yeah. You at high enough level, you no longer need key points for the Hand of Healing or Hand of Harm. Hand of Ultimate Mercy at 17th level, you can essentially, you have a 24-hour window to revivify something.
Mm-hmm.
And a condition of blind, death, paralyzed, poison, or stun. Wow. Yeah. The punchy healer.
Yeah.
Super fun.
It's just such like I think it could be such like a cool addition to like a group of like very like if you want like a martial focused group and like you want to still be a part of that, like having that as like the solution to like a cleric, or if you don't want to play something like a paladin, which would typically be the solution to that. I think that they're a very unique kind of way to play, I think.
Have you run tables or been part of a party like that where you're like, oh, oops, we're all fight classes, we don't have a healer? 1.
Yeah.
Not even like 2. 1. Fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, Spirits Bards, you learn guidance and is flavored generally as spirits guiding you and has a 60-foot range. The Tales from the Beyond are very, very cool. All these different fun things that your bardic inspiration can do, and you can have the effect on you or a creature within 30 feet. A spirit session. You can conduct an hour-long ritual channeling spirits, and you can temporarily learn one spell of your choice from any class. Wow.
They're real fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see all the flavor potential immediately, but yeah, is that the thing that draws you most to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, originally it was the flavor thing, that, and I'm also like a very witchy person. Like, I love like reading tarot cards, I love ghosts and everything like that. And so as soon as they released the College of Spirits Bard, I was like, I need to play one of those. And so that was originally what drew me to them. And then as I was building him, I got to the point of like, oh, you can just like get a spell from any class. And then like his whole like flavor thing is that like he was a cabin boy on this ship, and he was the only living survivor of the shipwreck. And so like he's haunted by all the ghosts of the crew of the ship. That's like his whole thing. And then it was like, okay, you can learn a spell from any class. And I was like, what if I go into the druid spells? And what if I give him tidal wave? And then what if we flavor it with like psychic damage instead, and we call it spirit wave? And then it's this whole thing of like him being able to use like the trauma from that experience and using it as a weapon. And then that was like the main thing, was I was like, I want to like make this into like a spell. I think that this is so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hard yes. That is really fucking cool. I love that. Wow. Yeah. What a fucking brilliant and interesting and creative reflavoring of both the spell and a way to tap into that class. Yeah. That is really cool.
And I had the thought of because again, bards at high levels, they don't get a ton of amazing things. And so I had the thought of at some point multi-classing him into a warlock who, I'm gonna get the name of this subclass wrong, like the patron of like the deep, I think is what it is. And it's like the deep, fathomless, yes. Mm-hmm. And it's like the deep sea kind of like patron. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, it's kind of just like right there for me in this little guy that I've made.
Get your fun little like bonus action extra floppy tentacle attack thing. Yeah.
I just wanted to make this little haunted sailor.
I DM'd for kids last year. I was running a game for kind of like tween-ish age, and one of them just like was a fathomless warlock, and every time he was like, I summoned my tentacle and I slapped someone with it. I'm just like, I can't right now. I can't.
All right. I guess that's your turn.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do that. You totally do that. You are far too young to have any other extra meaning to this, but it is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, okay. I'm gonna ask of these 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 7, I guess we count Mercy. So, is there the ultimate favorite subclass, or sorcerer, warlock, domain, pact? What's gonna come out all the way on top for you?
I think,
and I will wiggle my eyebrows because it helps make the choice.
I think I might have to say my favorite of all time, and this answer will probably change tomorrow, but my favorite of all time right now, I think, is a warlock, Pact of the Raven Queen. I think that there's a ton of versatility in her, and like her pact and everything that she gives you. And like, again, with the story of like, she's like a god of death and everything. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's so cool and it's so fun.
Did that?
I brought it up like in a character that I played. I've been focusing mainly on the Fiend, but the Raven Queen is my favorite, I think, now that I'm thinking through it fully. The Fiend's up there though. Oh
yeah, totally. I'm curious which of the archetypes Raven Queen fit into for you. Did that become undead or undying, or was that a reflavoring of like celestial?
It became a reflavoring of celestial for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Fun. Like, get some healing light and some other cool stuff to like bump up the support. Mm-hmm. Cool. Love it. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, heard it here. Celestial Warlock it is.
There you go.
What we're going to say. Blair, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Classing Up the Joint. It has been such a pleasure to get to know you a little bit and chat with you and learn about DM and class preferences. It was super cool.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Of course. Where can people find you on the interwebs if they would like to? Do you have cool projects coming up to plug?
You can follow me on anything that matters at Blair Boges. That is the handle everywhere. I haven't been posting on the internet in a while, but we're getting back to that now that I'm like moved and everything. So yeah, I think TikTok is the main area to follow me for content. And yeah, nothing super major, but maybe some things are in the works. Who knows? I don't know.
Ooh, some things. Has your group or have you done streaming of your home games, or is that not?
We have not. No, it's like a very like just home game. We've had talks about doing it, but who's to say what the future holds?
Well, the future holds lots of good stuff for Jesus. I was about to say for you and everyone. I'm just going, God, right. I hadn't thought about the state of the world for 5-10 minutes, and that was a nice. It was a lovely little break, quite honestly, to only think about fantasy. Follow at Blair Boges on TikTok and things, and follow. I don't know if you're listening to this and you're not following the Roll Report. Maybe you should follow the Roll Report too.
Yeah, follow the Roll Report.
Thank you. We're where you can find your podcasts and on TikTok and Instagram at The Roll Report Cast. Someday I'm going to have like a really cool like outro spiel or something, but I don't. So thank you again. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.